They made choosing female Byleth the canonically correct decision, which it should have always been, but I am just glad that now it's on the cover art. And that is my answer to the question in the title. Well, the title isn't really a question, so like the answer to the inferred question being, what is the best decision they ever made? Which I'm saying the answer is that the Fire Emblem team is telling you that if you have the choice between a male and female antagonist, please choose the female, because when the sexy mercenary lady punches you, that's hot. When the hot mercenary dude does it, that just hurts, and also makes him objectively less hot. I promise I have a better answer to that question. Oh yeah, we're playing Three Hopes, by the way. I probably should have said that first. The game opens up with a cutscene that is basically just Rhea does cool slicey dicey stuff for a minute or so, like how she did in the first game, but with the addition of Seteth and Flame and the subtraction of Nemesis. The only real interesting thing that happens in the cutscene are the few relics you see flashes of for a quick second. I only noticed the Frey Kugel because I am an enjoyer of the Hilda species. Other than that though, there is nothing really interesting happening in the intro. But then we cut to Getz trying to call out to Shez, and immediately we have some interesting backstory for Getz, because based on his name, you'll notice that his parents never loved him. But do you know what Getz's parents do love? Raid Shadow Legends, which is the sponsor of this video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free mobile game that makes you question the morality of people who charge $30 for a game that you could make in RPG Maker. Because this game is a 3D console level experience that you can play on your phone. And if you're like me and appreciate large pools of characters with cool designs and unique character abilities, then I know you'll like what this game has to offer. In my case, the characters that really stand out to me are Gamaram, who has this really cool shrine necromancer thing going on with the ability to block revives, which is my favorite way to assert dominance, and Gala Longbraid, who is really good at killing things and also not being killed, which feels like cheating, but that's just how she's made. Also, her name is Gala Longbraid. That is so fire. Trust me, this game is sick, and even if you don't think you have time to put into a mobile game, then don't worry, Raid has you covered. They have an auto feature that allows you to play it in the background and grind levels and silver through their campaign mode. And this month is huge for Raid. They just released a brand new faction, the Sylvan Watchers, with some amazing new champions. Forest Elves, Ents, Druids, Fays, they're all here. And I can't wait to summon for them because everyone in this faction looks amazing and will be a more than worthy addition to the Fibless collection. And if that's not enough, Raid's got a full lineup of events, along with a new season of the Forge Pass where you can get your hands on some of the most powerful gear the game has ever seen. Also, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get your exclusive rewards in Raid right now. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen. You'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Rector Drath, 200k silver, 1 energy refill and 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in-game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. So thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring the video. Now let's hop back to Shez's first encounter with Getz. After Getz gets Shez's attention, do you see how this could be a problem? We get to decide whether our Shez is a boy or a girl. And I will tell you right now, I picked the boy, exclusively because of the trailers. And I want you to know, I did not make that decision immediately, contrary to how I'm making it sound, because the girl design made it very hard to do that. Then I picked female Byleth. Obviously. After Getz tells us that he's scared of Gerald's goons because of some rumors, our captain, Burling, shows up to tell us that Gerald's mercenaries are frauds and to tell Getz to stop being a soft little sponge boy. And then after that, Lasley shows up to tell us we are being attacked right this very second and it's time to put our money where our mouth is. Now what you'll notice is that none of these three characters make it into a single frame of promotional material. It's almost like they were written into this part simply to be killed. So this first map is essentially the tutorial stage, or one of the few tutorial stages, which means they are frauds, which was a pleasant surprise for all of 5 minutes until one of the mini bosses gave me an extra large serving of hands that I never ordered. And while I was having a hard time with that stronghold captain, Burling may have been having a bit of a harder time.
Now isn't this a sight? You must be the infamous Ashen Demon. I can't wait to tear you apart.
This'll be the end of the Ashen Demon. No one can be the captain.
Just when my dream was finally in sight, you monster.
What you'll notice about the sequence of events here is that minutes before Burling gets indefinitely benched by Coach Byleth, Shez makes a comment along the lines of, "Yeah, they won't stand a chance. No one beats Captain Burling," which implies that he himself could not beat Burling. So I'm gonna need a 5-page dissertation on why our next plan of action is to fight Byleth. What are we doing? Who in their right mind finds themselves in this scenario and makes a conscious decision to purposefully run towards the thing that is killing us? So, much like a dumb gazelle would take a nap inside of a lion's den, we are currently standing in front of Byleth'd of our own volition. Now before I tell you what happens because of this very bad decision, I want to point out all the good decisions that were made up to this point in the game. And ironically, most of those points have to do with this character, the one that's about to kick my teeth in. Most interesting of those decisions is the fact that they turned Byleth's silence/indifference into an actual personality trait. Because back in Three Houses, Byleth'd was an empty husk of a character due to them being the main character. So when characters talk to Byleth'd and say something along the lines of, "Huh, you're not much of a talker, are you?" it sounds to me more like, "Dang, must suck that this game doesn't give you any words to speak. Oh well, don't you worry, my friend. I'm here to pick up all the conversational slack, even if I myself am a shy and quiet character." But there's more. Just so that you, the player, don't feel like it's weird how quickly everyone warms up to you, we will have most to all characters tell you that you make them feel more relaxed and comfortable for almost no conceivable reason. Except they kinda do have a reason, being that Byleth'd is essentially Sothis, and with Sothis being this world's one true deity, it makes sense that all the inhabitants of this world will feel closer to their maker or something like that. I don't know what I'm saying, but this gives them one reason. I'll give them one. Basically what I'm trying to say is that Byleth'd is an insert character, meaning that they aren't meant to have any defining characteristics beyond the fact that they are bland and that they are OP. They are literally a playable isekai protagonist, meant to make it feel less like you're playing through a character story and more like you're playing a story through a character. Now take all of that nothingness and then not only make it into its own character independent of the player, but also make that newly independent insert character and turn them into the thing that you have to kill. And remember, the fun part about having to kill this thing is that it is the same emotionless, lifeless, overpowered higher life form that was once fully under your control. It's like fighting a vengeful puppet, and it talks. This is a horror game. Speaking of talking though, Shez talks. Like a lot, which is good. They have this system where the dialogue options are not things you are going to say, but rather the way you are going to say the thing. Unlike Bylethed, where the dialogue options were most certainly things you are going to say, even though he never says anything. The problem I'm seeing with this is that Shez feels too much like a character, almost as if we're playing the game through a decently strong unit instead of an all-powerful war beast. Now, if the game used Shez to replace Bylethed, and Bylethed was no longer in the game at all, then this would be a cool change of pace. But unfortunately, Bylethed is still there as a constant reminder that I am not that guy. Speaking of which,
We need some milk!
here's me getting bodied. It is actually crazy that she punched me in the face. Thankfully though, the one thing Shez does have over Bylethed is that Shez gets to rip off DBZ much earlier in the game and with much less subtlety. And because of this timely transformation, our head is still attached to our shoulders, and we don't have a sword ran through our skull. While transformed, Shez makes a second sword out of thin air, which means we're ripping off Fate Stay Night this time, which is cool. And now we're able to hurt Bylethed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that we were literally doing 0 damage to Bylethed. Isn't that grand? Anyway, Bylethed sends in reinforcements while she retreats to assess the situation, which is cool because it's like Bylethed is still playing Three Houses where she actually steps back and takes time to strategize. You get it, you're not dumb. Then Gerald says that their job is done, and Bylethed tells me to hold this L, matter of fact, firmly grasp it, and rides off into the sunset while we collapse from the fatigue of going Super Saiyan and also getting folded like paper cranes. When we wake up, we're face to face with our Sothis replacement, Arvel, who I don't remember saying anything of importance other than they are the reason we are still alive and something about us being the chosen one, which is capped because Bylethed is still around, which makes us, in fact, the chosen second. Oh right, and Shez says his new goal in life is to kill Bylethed for what she did, and something about never meeting his parents, which is fine because all that means is that we just don't have a Gerald. And let's be honest, we didn't really have a Gerald last time either, did we? Haha, it hurts so much. Anyway, we jump to 6 months later where we get a much clearer idea of Arvel's personality. Whereas Sothis was kind of like a sassy grandma with wisdom and a terrible memory, Arvel is a bratty little cousin who talks down to you because he can beat you in a game of chess, which will be way more irritating eventually, but it's tolerable for now because it's actually kind of funny.
At any rate, we all make a few mistakes along the way. And by we, I mean you. And by a few, I mean far, far more than average.
On to the thing that I actually care about though, the children. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that. The house leaders. I care about the house leaders, which is good for them because they're being chased down by bandits and they need help getting rid of the bandits, and it's good for me because I'm broke and I need to stop being broke. So we start this new level, which is tutorial map number 2, and it is used to teach you how to switch between characters and to quickly show you how to use the map, where you can direct your units in a more Fire Emblem-y type way. So it's not all just clickety-clackety, tippity-tappity, button-mashy gameplay, but it sure is most of it. Speaking of gameplay though, we do get to use our big 3 on this level, which was fun. Edelgard fights like the axe is swinging her around, and Claude half the time is flying on top of the enemies you're meant to be shooting, but it was fine. Anyway, after we mowed down the first set of enemies and the game showed me how to move my units around like little chess pieces, we finally meet our first non-leader unit, which is the same first non-leader unit that we saw in the last game, which is Aloise. And that is the last interesting thing that happens during this fight, so we are going to hit fast forward on all of it until we get to the part where the prince, the empress, and the alliance leader try to convince me that they walk around with empty pockets.
Now, collect your pay and be off before they get a wild idea and ask you to join them.
We'll wait out the night together and make for the village in the morning. It's a great plan, especially if you want to get paid, as we're a tiny bit short on pocket change at the moment.
I'm not convinced. Anyway, this is the part where Alois hops into the conversation, which, under the circumstances of the last game, is also the part where Alois convinces Gerald, and by proxy Byleth'd, to come to the monastery, because Gerald used to be Alois's captain back when he was in the Knights of Seros, and also because Alois was excited to see that his friend was not actually dead. Now, although Gerald seems annoyed by Alois remembers Gerald as a respectable leader and a close comrade. Now, jump back to here, and the first thing Alois hears us say is that we hate Gerald and all that he stands for, his men are sheep, and the only reason we want to find him is so that we could turn his daughter into human confetti. Alright, so Shez doesn't actually say this, but let's be honest, if Alois hears a mercenary say they are looking for other mercenaries, then that means either A, said mercenary was hired to kill the other mercenaries, B, the mercenary group they are hunting killed someone important to them and they are seeking revenge, or C, this very capable mercenary who you just saw basically rescue the 3 best students at the academy single-handedly wants to become one of Gerald's mercenaries. But let's be honest, if you're Alois in this situation, the most logical answer is A, even though B is what actually happened. So Shez basically said he wanted to kill Gerald. If you think about it. I'm not crazy, I promise. Also, I see this weird potential conflict between Shez and Alois as a bonus point for why it is so smart to not have Byleth'd be the main character, and not only that, but to have the replacement main character also see Byleth'd as a villain. Because just imagine the timeline where they make this character narratively interesting. I swear he could be cool, just give him a chance, stop looking at his beard. So after I sat there pondering all of that, for a disturbing amount of time, Alois and the poster children convinced us to stay with their camp for the night, where we are going to meet all of our favorite students all over again. But that is gonna have to wait for another day, because there are too many characters to go through, and I've already been talking for too long. So I hope you enjoyed this video and are enjoying the game if you have it, because I personally haven't had much time to play the game, but it definitely is a good time when I get the chance. It could be because I already like the characters in the game and they just cheated their way into my good books, but that's fine by me. I'm indeed a very simple man. Anyway, I have been talking too much, so I will see you all in the next video. Alright, so bye.